Akeem Olufemi Gbadiabiamila. God bless you all.
The armed banditry attack at the Kaduna International Airport may escalate to other airports across the country if not checked.
Security matters dominate plenary sessions as House invites security chiefs for more discussions.
128 kilometers natural gas pipeline project.
And House urges NNPC to review National Gas Master Plan to conform with current global realities. Terrorist attacks at the Kaduna International Airport and on the Kaduna-bound train set the tone for deliberations in the House during plenary. Lawmakers bared their minds and took resolutions to check the rising insecurity across the nation. This is even as it expressed its displeasure with security chiefs for failing to show up for a meeting called to address the issues. House Ticket brings you details of these and more in this episode of the program. Welcome on board. I am Firdaus Ahmad Wakili. Stay tuned for the full program after the break.
If we set our minds right, embrace each other in love and brotherhood, we will come through these troubling times. We will survive, we will recover, and then we will thrive. One nation under God, free, peaceful, and prosperous.
House Ticket kicks off with matters of urgent national importance and focusing on the recent terrorist and bandit attacks in Kaduna. Lawmakers advanced reasons and provide options to tackle insecurity in Nigeria. For details of how the debates went amongst other matters, let's take this first report as compiled and presented from our studio.
Plenary for Tuesday, the 29th of March 2022 was presided over by the Deputy Speaker, Representative Ahmad Idris Wase. The House deliberated extensively on security issues. This was sequel to the motion on a matter of urgent public importance moved by Nnolim Nnaji on the need to investigate the recent attack on Kaduna International Airport and other related matters.
Concerned that the armed banditry attack at the Kaduna International Airport may escalate to other airports across the country if not checked. Worried that no one is safe to travel by air if positive steps are not taken urgently to safeguard our airports from banditry attacks, considering the international standard on airport security management as outlined by International Civil Aviation Authority, ICAO.
I agree with him in total that we must present a very formidable front as a house to ensure that this thing do not happen again. And for it not to happen, somebody, somewhere must be held responsible. It couldn't have just been ordinary that these people would drive through the city and come and challenge the security of our airports. For me, it is not only reprehensible, Honorable Speaker, sir, but a display of general ineptitude on the part of the security responsible for security in our airport.
Mr. Speaker, it is not a time for us to begin to lay blames. And it is not a time for us to begin to be partisan. It is not a time for us to begin to point accusing fingers. It is a time for us, for the leadership of this country, to rally each and every one of us to begin to come to the same page and be on the same page. Because, Mr. Speaker, it's saddening. It's saddening that we can have a security breach to a point of infraction in the airport.
Mr. Speaker, Nigeria is hemorrhaging. We are under a serious peril. It is very important to point out that, look, this is Kaduna Airport. And we have first division of Nigerian Army. We also have Nigerian Air Force Base. And we also have the NDA. We also have Jaji.
Tactical Command.
We have the Air Force Tactical Command, Mr. Speaker, and Kaduna State is under siege.
Let us clarify something that should be clear. We should stop calling them bandits and label them for what they are. Simple, pure terrorists. Cowardly and dastardly acts that they are currently undertaking in our nation. And it is time for us to move from the theoretical to practical. The truth of the matter is this has been debated long enough, it has been explored long enough, and some of the solutions are already at hand. It's how to implement them. From this house, one of the reasons why they say, why can't we get a grasp of it, is the lack of coordination among the security agencies.
The subject matter further attracted more contributions from the lawmakers.
My suggestion is that, as part of our resolution, we should call on the executive arm of government to declare a state of emergency on the security sector, so that all shops on other matters will be closed, and then all hands will be on deck with a view to tackling this problem of incessant security violations across the nooks and crannies of the country.
The security should be more proactive. They should not be defensive, because most of these people know how they move. They know their movement. So the security must be proactive, must go after these bandits in their own, must go after the bandits in their own den.
It is lack of enough personnel. We need to recruit more than necessary, I can even say, because the limit or the level of insecurity in this nation has called for very serious recruitment into our security outfits.
Over the last couple of years, we've realized that Nigerians have moved from going by road to the rail on that route. And it looks like these very divisive characters have realized that they cannot attack the populace on the road again because of the migration to the rail. This attack was a strategic attack to push citizens back on the road so they can be easy prey. I would like the security forces to mount enough checkpoints on the Abuja-Kaduna road right now, because obviously now that the NRC has stopped trains, the rail from functioning, Nigerians are going to migrate back onto the road and would not want a situation where they are left unsafe.
I don't want us to throw away the statement of the governor of Kaduna State, Governor Nasru El-Rufai, who said that this bandit lives in the forest, they live in the bush. That if you know you are a right-thinking person, you are a normal person, what are you doing in the bush? That we should take time and then finish everybody that is staying in the bush. So if you are a bandit or you are not a bandit, come out to the town. I want to suggest that our military should put all their efforts together, and they should give a specific time frame for everybody living in this area, if you know you are a normal person, to come out, and they should be bombarded.
Sir, what I believe is engagement. I don't want to say this, but still, sir, maybe I will meet you in the office and say it to you. But more importantly, sir, discussion of securities on the floor, which are sensitive issues. We don't need to be discussing them here. We have discussed enough throughout this, our ninth assembly, sir. From the first year, second year, this is the third, and we are getting into fourth year. We are discussing security, sir. But we have seen an improvement, and we are trying our best to improve the budgetary allocation of all the security agencies, including the police, all the security agencies in this country. But what is happening? Sir, we need to go into diplomacy.
As part of the resolution of the House, government agencies related to the matter were invited for interface with the lawmakers.
The agencies to be invited are National Security Advisor, Chief of Defense, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, DGSSS, IG Police, Aviation Minister, DG NCCA, MD FAN, MD NAMA, GM Railway Corporation, Minister for Transport, and then the committees that are supposed to work alongside with the leadership of the House are Aviation, National Security, Police, Army, Air Force, Defense, and Land Transport.
In a related development, the House on Thursday, the 31st of March 2022, still presided over by Deputy Speaker, deliberated on another matter of urgent public importance moved by Representative Shehu Balarabe on the need to curtail banditry in and around Birningwari local government area of Kaduna State.
Aware of the enduring of rising cases of armed bandits across the country, particularly in Birningwari and Gyo local government areas in Kaduna State, which has continued persistently day and night.
I think government and officials of government, not even the security agencies of course are under democratic authority. Government in this case has to rise up to its responsibility, call a spade a spade. If it's about funding, each and every one of us here knows we have never had any cause to contemplate funding our security agencies.
If concerted actions are not taken, there is a tendency that Kaduna State and by extension northwestern Nigeria will run into abyss.
No part of Nigeria is safe. And when such issues come like this, that has to do with the lives of people, you will agree with me, just like on Monday, the attack on that train, the perpetrators of that act were not looking at any particular person from any part of the country, because anybody could have been in that train. So it's injury to all, to one, injury to all. We are not safe.
The House then resolved to call on the federal government to deploy all workable methods at its disposal to contain the security challenge and especially to implement the recommendations of its special summit on national security, which the Speaker, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila, submitted to President Muhammadu Buhari last year. The House then observed prayers for the victims of insecurity and for peace to reign in Nigeria.
Solve all the problems of insecurity. All this we pray in the mighty name of Jesus.
Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
To other matters in the week under review, the House received 2 letters from President Muhammadu Buhari.
I forward herewith the National Senior Secondary School Secondary Education Commission Bill 2021 for the kind consideration of the House of Representatives. The National Senior Secondary Education Commission Bill 2021 seeks to set and enforce standards and provide federal government intervention towards the reposition of senior secondary school education in Nigeria, while hoping that this submission will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the House. Please accept, Right Honorable Speaker, the assurance of my highest consideration. Yours, Muhammadu Buhari, signed.
The other letter forwarded was a bill for the establishment of the Federal University of Health Sciences in Otukpo, Benue State. The House also passed several bills for second reading. These, among others, are a bill for an act to provide for the legal framework for the upgrade and conversion of Wesley Girls Hospital, Ilesha, to a Federal Medical Center, Ilesha, Osun State, and for related matters. A bill for an act to establish the Environmental Research Council of Nigeria and provide for the establishment of a research institute by the council and for related matters. And a bill for an act to provide for the legal framework to establish the Federal Medical Center, Ufuma, Anambra State, and for related matters.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I rise to move that a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal University of Agriculture, Umpu, Enugu State, and for related matters, HB 1898, be taken the second time.
The bills were voted on, passed and referred to the appropriate committees of the House for further legislative action. Other bills passed as second reading include a bill for an act to establish the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies (KURU) to serve as Nigeria's apex institute for policy and strategic studies and for related matters.
This institute was established in 1979 for the purpose of assembling policy makers, train them, do research and what have you on modern apparatus of governance and what have you. And in order to bring this law in tandem with the realities of today, especially the governing council of the board, under the law enacting it, no specific qualification was specified for a person to be a member of the governing board. What this bill seeks to do is to specify qualifications for members of the governing board.
Also passed as second reading was a bill for an act to repeal the Counterfeit and Fake Drugs and Unwholesome Processed Foods Act, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and make comprehensive provisions for the prohibition and control of counterfeit medical products, fake drugs, and unwholesome processed foods, and for related matters.
To address the menace, amendment of the Act becomes mandatory. The current bill, when passed into law, will not only reduce the activities of and promoters of the counterfeit drugs, fake drugs, and unwholesome products, but will prevent citizens, will protect the citizen and also have serve as a deterrent.
These and other bills were voted on and referred to the relevant House committees for consideration.
That's not all. Lawmakers during the week under review also considered and voted on different motions as captured in the order paper. The prolonged construction of the Trans-Sahara Natural Gas Pipeline project was the subject of one of the motions. Join us after the break for details of these and more.
Representative Ahmed Munir moved a motion on the urgent need to address the prolonged construction of the Trans-Sahara Natural Gas Pipeline project.
And the pipeline was discovered to be technically and economically feasible and reliable, which in turn led to the intergovernmental agreement on the pipeline signed by the energy ministers of Nigeria, Niger, and Algeria on July 3, 2009 in Abuja. Concerned that in 2013, the federal government approved a budget of $400 million for commencement of the project originally scheduled to be operational by 2020, with no commensurate progress made till date.
The House resolved, amongst other things, to urge the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to provide information regarding the implementation, funds utilization, and status of the project. Also urged the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to review the National Gas Master Plan relating to the project to conform with the variables of today's global economy.
Also note that the inappropriate
and on his part, Representative Boluga Dele moved a motion on the need to ensure proper healthcare waste management in Nigeria.
That healthcare waste constitutes a distinct category of waste as it contains potentially harmful waste materials and as such are of critical concern globally, especially in developing countries. Also note that the inappropriate handling and disposal of healthcare waste poses huge risk to health workers who may be directly exposed and to people near health facilities, particularly children and scavengers who may become exposed to infectious waste and its attendant risks of diseases.
The House, in resolving the matter, mandated the committees on health institutions and environment to interface with the chief medical directors of university teaching hospitals, medical directors of federal medical centers, and other health facilities in Nigeria which produce healthcare waste and other relevant stakeholders. Their meeting is to determine possible government and institutional interventions that will promote proper healthcare waste management in Nigeria, develop and propose a permanent and sustainable solution to the current challenges of healthcare waste management, and report back within 2 weeks for further legislative action. Similarly, the House at the Committee of the Whole considered reports from the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services. One of them is on a bill for an act to repeal the Federal Colleges of Education Act, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Federal College of Education Bill and for related matters.
That the House do consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to repeal the Federal College of Education Act, Cap 8, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and to enact the Federal College of Education Bill and for related matters, HB 1455, and approve the recommendation therein.
78, 79, 80.
You're still watching House Ticket. Following the decision by the House to invite heads of security agencies to further discuss the rising speed of attacks by terrorists, a meeting was called for that purpose. The special committee, said by the leadership of the House, however, expressed disappointment over the decisions of the heads of the agencies invited to send representatives. Chairman of the committee, Representative Ahmad Idris Wasi, said the House is not happy with the decisions.
I'm constrained as a Deputy Speaker to continue the meeting because the accounting officers are the ones that are supposed to be here while you give them the necessary support. So we cannot proceed. And I'm saying with heavy heart, no matter the assignment our generals are handling, I believe the Parliament requires a listening ear. This is the House of the people.
I must state here that the regrets of the Chief of Defense Staff and the service chiefs, they are currently in a meeting on the directive of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, for the same reasons that we are here to discuss the issues in Kaduna. The expeditious nature of the assignment demanded that they hold the meeting immediately, and they have been in session since last night up to this time.
There would be a point, the person who is defending will tell you, I am not in the capacity to answer the question ABC. And it has happened over and over, so it's normal. We are not questioning your integrity, we are not questioning your capacity. We believe in you, we believe in your work, but you also, we know you have your limitations in terms of execution of your own functions.
The committee has rescheduled the meeting for another date. The leadership of the House had on Tuesday, during plenary, resolved to invite the relevant heads of the agencies. Among those invited by the House are the Ministers of Aviation and Transport, the National Security Advisor, Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Director General of the Department of State Services, and the Inspector General of Police. It is on that note that we end this episode of House Ticket. May God continue to protect and preserve our nation, even as lawmakers work with relevant authorities to stop insecurity and the resulting economic challenges. Until I come your way again next week, do have a pleasant week.